On Friday, November the 21st, the state of Florida will be remembering its missing children and honoring agencies, organizations, and individuals that have gone above and beyond in their efforts to make a difference in the lives of Florida families. The current number of Florida missing children is 349, with 400,000 reported in the entire United States. 2 of these children belong to me. On April 28, 1993, my 18-year-old daughter, Bonnie Lee Davis, and her 4-month-old son, my grandson, Jeremy Lee Davis, left their home in Lithia at approximately 9:00 p.m. According to the couple she was living with at that time as a nanny, she was on her way to the cash and carry located at the intersection of Lumsden and Lithia Pinecrest. It's now known as a Walmart Market. At the intersection, and she was on her way there to meet her boyfriend. 2 days later, her locked van was found by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department in the parking lot of that grocery store. In it were Jeremy's diaper bag and $75 in cash. 26, almost 27 years ago, or later, we still don't know where Bonnie and Jeremy are or what happened to them. During the days following their disappearance, we learned many details of the life Bonnie had fallen into. It is not a pretty picture. We knew Bonnie as a happy, laughing young woman who had her whole life ahead of her. She had recently graduated from high school. She was a loving, caring mother. She had even just received a small inheritance that she had planned to start her adult life with. But that wasn't the Bonnie that others knew. While the basic facts were the same, there was another side of her life that we didn't know about. She was having an affair with an older man, a neighbor. She thought she was in love and that he loved her, but he told her that their relationship had to be kept a secret. The reality was he was using her, as he had used other women. He asked things of her and sent her to do things that should never have happened. Then on the day that she disappeared, she withdrew money from her inheritance and took it to him. She told her friends that she was investing in a business with him, but it had to be kept a secret. She said her life was about to change. He was going to marry her soon, and she would have a new, happy life, but she had to keep it a secret. Then Bonnie and Jeremy were gone, vanished. When questioned, the man she had gone to meet said he barely knew her. A joint business? Never happened. Marriage? Not likely. Relationship? No way. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office has given much of their time and dedication to this case. The files and records are extensive. Over the years, many top detectives have studied the case, and even now, the investigation is ongoing and active, using new eyes and ears to evaluate the evidence. Today, we are still searching for that one piece of information that will give us the answer to the question, where are Bonnie and Jeremy? I have to ask, do you have that piece of information? Did you see something that night at the cash and carry parking lot or another store or somewhere else that might provide that last piece of the puzzle? Our family is asking you to go back to that time. Did you hear something? Did you see something that is still in the back of your mind but you never told anyone? Maybe you thought somebody else had already given us that information. There might have been a part of Bonnie's life that you knew about, but you didn't want to talk to the investigators about it. Many of those around Bonnie at the time of her disappearance were underage and possibly reluctant to discuss anything with the police, much less something illegal or immoral. But 2.5 decades later might just be the right time to talk. Our family is asking for your help. Any piece of information, no matter how small or unimportant it seems, could make a difference. Each new piece of information leads to knowledge, and knowledge will lead us to the answers. If you have any information, please call Corporal Greg Thomas of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office at 813-247-0546 and reference case number 93-33710. And for any additional details on Bonnie and Jeremy's disappearance, please go to the podcast Unfound by Edward Denzel labeled Bonnie and Jeremy Davis. Thank you. Oh, a lot. He was only 4 months old at the time of their disappearance, but she was, you know, ecstatic at having him. It was just a fulfillment for her. And she had the money that she inherited. She was hoping to, we had a piece of property in Missouri, and she was going to go there and, you know, just kind of start a new life. And she was very happy. She loved horses. She's ridden horses since she was, before she could walk. And, you know, her life just gravitated around the animals and children. She has a lot of siblings, and she was very much involved with taking care of everybody and helping with things.
I gotta imagine you were excited to be a grandma.
Oh, yeah, that was the first one. I now have 14. But we are sad because we only have like 2 pictures of him. And it was before we had cell phones and could take pictures, and we didn't have a camera at the time, so, but we didn't get to know him very much.
What was he like? Was he seem like a happy baby? Sleep through the night?
Yeah, she was living with the other people, so, you know, we didn't really see him sleeping through the night too much, but, and she was nursing him, so she kept him pretty close most of the time. But he was, you know, just a good baby, you know, good size, everything. Wasn't ever sick or anything.
What would it
What
mean
the
to you?
last 26 years have been like, just having this mystery and this cloud hanging over your family? What has it been like?
Okay, 1 second. What, did you want to finish what you were saying? I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was just saying, what would it mean to you if someone came forward after all this time? I mean, 26 years is a really long time.
That touches on another whole subject. We have had somebody that did that, but we did DNA tests and he wasn't. And apparently that's a fairly common thing to get people calling you and saying that, oh, I'm Jeremy, but it really rips you apart. You know, you no matter how much the police talked to him and they said, you know, this is not him, but it doesn't matter. Even when you do the DNA test, it doesn't matter. You still have that hope. Could this possibly be Jeremy? And we have, I think she gave you a picture of the age progression. And one of my grandsons is not here, my daughter's oldest son, but he definitely looks like his first cousin. I mean, they definitely look so much alike. But those things happen. You know, we would be wonderfully ecstatic if it were to happen and it were to be true. I mean, we hope for that all the time. No matter what happened to Bonnie, there's always a chance. I mean, I have to be honest, we believe that she was murdered, but you never know. And we can envision, and this is partly to the answer to your question, we envision every possible scenario constantly. You know, there's no direction to take. You can't drive down the road and see a piece of woods that you don't wonder if their bodies could be there. And you don't, you know, see a body of water or anything that you don't imagine. Any story you hear where they describe something that happened, you think, well, that could have been them. But we don't know. Oh, their birthdays, you know, Jeremy's birthday's coming up December 23rd. And 13th, excuse me, December 13th. And, you know, it's just, you know, they're not there. You know, you don't know what they look like. You don't know who they would have been. You know, even Bonnie at 18, you know, now she would have been a, you know, whole different person. So many things we've missed and haven't gotten to see with them.
What makes you think that Bonnie's not alive?
The situation, for one thing, the way she disappeared, you know, like if you consider it a runaway, you know, why would she have run away? She wasn't even living at home, so she wasn't trying to get away from home. She was pretty happy where she was. She was doing everything. I mean, that might not be all the right way to say it. She was able to do whatever she wanted to do. There was nobody restricting her. So there was nothing to run away from in that sense. She had money still in the bank. It was never touched. Her car was left behind. It was her car. She could have driven away. No, we don't believe she did, but you're asking why do we think that? Because we think those things aren't really likely. Who knows? You know, I mean, who does know? We don't.
Just to clarify, so the boyfriend she was meeting, was that the man she was having an affair with?
Yes, 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 yes.
And you've spent a lot of time talking with him?
Well, not a lot of time. It's not like he talked to us, but the police interviewed him.
What did he say? Why was he there that night to meet her?
He said he wasn't there that night to meet her. Yeah, that's what I said in here. He denied pretty much everything. And
So
so,
friends said it though, they said that's where she was going?
well, yes.
Who do
And
you believe?
oh, I believe them, absolutely. There were too many, it wasn't just one person that said it. Not only that, but there were other women that he had used in the same manner that he was using her. So it's not like it was unbelievable. The scenario that she was in had been repeated several different times with other women.
Do you still live in the area?
Yes.
Of where she was last seen?
Yes. Well, where she was last seen was in Brandon.
Yes.
But we live in Lithia. It's about 9 miles away. And I now live a few miles away from where I lived then.
Do you frequent that area? though,
Yes.
and
Almost
talk
every day.
about that?
Yeah, almost every day. You drive right past that parking lot and the store there. And I don't, it's just like I was saying about, you see it, you envision, was she drug into a car by somebody? What happened? Did she get in a car? Was she even there? Just because the car was found there 2 days later doesn't mean it was there that night. We don't know. I don't think they ever found anybody to verify for sure that they had seen it there for 2 days, but I'm not positive on that. But it keeps, what doesn't keep it alive? It doesn't matter whether it's passing the parking lot or seeing the other children or the birthdays or everything, something, it's your child and your grandchild, and you miss them and you want to know what happened to them. And I would like, foremost to know what happened to them. And then depending on that scenario, then, justice for them.
When they disappeared in the 90s, did you have an immediate instinct as to what happened to them?
And I can't answer you why exactly, but as soon as we found her car and all, we believed that she was murdered. But as we found out in those days, the different circumstances, around her life at that time, that's what we have always believed.
And did you believe it was the boyfriend initially?
Yes,
Is he still around?
yes.
What's that like, knowing that someone may have done it is around and free?
Not good. It's just, it's caused a lot of strain. Other neighbors, other friends know him, know us, who do you believe kind of thing. And it causes a lot of emotional stress.
So you knew that man as well? He was your neighbor, or that was the first time you had ever heard of him?
Oh, no, he was friends of ours. His family was friends of ours. My kids grew up with his nieces and nephews, niece and nephews. And the kids are all still real close, but it was, he was a football coach for my son and some different things. No, we knew him pretty well.
And so your daughter was 18, and how old was he?
He was my age. So he was 20 years older than her.
Do you mind just telling me who all of you are, just introducing?
This is my second oldest daughter, Jennifer Bradley. Her son, Jacob. Joshua, I'm sorry.
Joshua.
I'm a little nervous.
Elizabeth and Grace.
Elizabeth and Grace.
3 of them.
And my
Other daughter.
other daughter. I'm trying to think. There's I was trying to think. This is my fourth child, Nancy Richardson, and my husband, Philip Hirschberger.
Bonnie's father?
No, my husband, not
Previous
Bonnie's
husband.
father, yeah.
And then Bonnie's 2 sisters?
Yeah.
Right, and all of her little nieces and nephews.
You have this platform right now. If whoever did this, whether it's the boyfriend, somebody else, whatever, if they're watching the news tonight and you could send them a message, what would you say to that person?
We just want
It's,
to know.
yeah, help me here, because I don't want to say what I would like to say.
We want to find out what happened to Bonnie. That's the ultimate goal. The rest of that, that's between him and God.
Yeah.
Our
We just wanna
goal
know.
is to know what happened to our sister. And we don't know. We have a lot of little pieces of the puzzle, but unfortunately, there's not that missing piece, and there's information, but there's more information out there that would finish it. And like you said, it might not be. There's so many what ifs that could possibly be the case. And that's it. We've accepted a long time ago something really bad probably happened to her, but we still don't know. And there's that little piece left that she might still be out there. And how do you quit until you know? Because she might still be out there.
And even if you know and it's still something terrible, you can concentrate on that. You don't have to envision every single scenario out there. You know, we want to know what happened to them. We would love to be able to bring them home, you know, to have a burial for them, to have some sort of recognition. It's like when you say, somebody asks you how many children do you have, you know, do you say 4 or 5, you know, do you say how many grandchildren, do you lead into this conversation where you're gonna, you know, I don't know.
If anybody has any information,
Yes.
anything, if they think it's insignificant. I mean, so many times we've listened to these podcasts and try to get helpful hints, and sometimes you hear people come back and say, well, we knew this, but we assumed somebody would have already told, you know, that would have already been said. And so maybe there's something like that that's out there. So if you know anything, little or small, just, we just want to know, yeah.
What is April 28th every year like for you that day?
Empty.
Yeah, it's, yeah, you lead into it knowing it's coming up, you know, and then that day, yeah, you just have to live through it. But it's a holiday is not the right word, but it is another anniversary, you know, but it's an anniversary of something you're dreading every year.
And still trying to remember and
Yeah.
make it happen.
Yeah, because you
it's
don't want to
still her
forget them.
birthday.
You don't want to forget what happened. You know, you want to keep them alive and their memories alive in your family.
And just one quick question about Jeremy's father. Do you have a relationship with him?
No. No.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. Again, Corporal Thomas is, yeah, he'll come up here and he'll answer some questions. Again, it's an active, ongoing investigation, so there's only so much that he can say, but he'll try to answer as much as he can.
Could you say and spell your names with me?
Greg Thomas, Gregthomas. Corporal.
And you investigated in 1993?
No, I did not. I basically was a detective assigned to the homicide section and cold case unit for a number of years before becoming a supervisor in there. So I've reviewed this case in the past and worked with other investigators that were tasked with following up leads on it.
Has a suspect or person of interest or multiple ever been named in this case?
There are a number of persons of interest, if you will. Specific suspect, not really. I can't really say at this time. As it was stated, it is an active missing persons case. So until we find their whereabouts, or if they met with foul play, remains, or so forth, that'll kind of lead us in the direction of who we'll look at further.
To be clear, it's missing persons because she's 18, right?
Correct. And also her child, which was 4 months old, so it's missing persons case. Yeah.
What can you say about the gentleman that was friends of the family? What can you say about him, either as a person of interest or someone that you've cleared?
Well, there are a number of people investigated and interviewed, looked into, so he is one of the mix of individuals that have been thoroughly interviewed, questioned, and whatnot. So until any further leads come about, we really have no other information to cover with him at this time.
Is he still considered a person of interest?
There are a number of persons of interest. I can't say at this time whether or not he is still considered or not. I mean, I could say that there are a number of persons of interest with this case.
Was he categorized ever as a person of interest, maybe at the time?
At the time, because of the circumstances, yes.
What circumstance requires you to consider several people? Why do you think with these facts that there's many people?
Just a number of people associated with her that had knowledge of, her inheritance, her situation, who she was living with. Nothing really concrete as far as facts that would denote somebody that would be a person of interest, but just a number of associations of hers.
Can you explain what makes this case so difficult to solve in general? Is it the lack of hard evidence, lack of, if it was a murder, like a weapon, that kind of thing? Can you explain why it's been 26 years and you guys can't?
Sure.
Close it?
It's simply lack of technology. I mean, if this case occurred today, we would probably have a better chance of locating with cell phone technology, cell sites, GPS, surveillance cameras, just all technology that we utilize today in most of our investigations. This was 26 plus years ago, 1993. So a little bit different. There was lack of surveillance cameras and GPS coordinates and whatnot. So it makes it a lot more difficult.
Can we draw the conclusion then that the only evidence that you do have to deal with and look into is from that era? Has anything else?
Yes, it wouldn't progress us into more technological evidence today. So yes, anything from that era or before with our other cases, you're pretty much stuck with what evidence you have at that time. Yes.
Did this agency ever suspect it was a runaway or something she left on her own, or did this agency always think something happened?
It was always looked at as something peculiar, or maybe some type of suspicious circumstances, just because of, as her mother stated earlier, with her vehicle left behind and some personal effects and so forth. It wasn't your typical runaway case. And again, like she stated earlier, there was no reason for her to run away. She was living on her own as an adult. She had no reason to run away. So.
Just to be clear, Corporal, at this point, it doesn't sound like there are any, at this point, there aren't any signs of foul play at this point.
We don't have any concrete evidence to that, but obviously over the number of years and the circumstances, it's considered to be a case of foul play, yes.
I mean, time is essentially evidence. I mean, 26 years for no sign of a person.
Correct. As with most missing persons cases, when it progresses that long, yes.
Last question.
Is there any role that DNA could play in this? I know, you talk about it being 26 years, but we see DNA solving some of these cold
Sure.
cases.
Just as her mother said earlier, with kind of the false lead with somebody coming forward stating that they were Jeremy or a family member, we would rule people out with DNA. We have familial swabs that have been entered into what's called NamUs, or National Missing Persons Database, through the University of North Texas. So with that being said, if anything were to come about, whether it be remains or a person alive coming forward and saying that they were a family member or Bonnie or Jeremy, then yes, we would analyze that DNA. But as far as any other evidentiary value, not at this time, no.
And when did that person that said they were Jeremy come forward? What year was that?
I don't remember. I'd have to go through the case file. I can't tell you the specific year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the colonel's just going to come up and make a quick statement. If you got, just to give the public the information that they do need, if they do have further questions, this is how you would contact the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
Morning, my name is James Bradford. I'm the colonel over the Department of Investigative Services, and we certainly appreciate the Hirschbergers and the family members of Bonnie Dagus for keeping this case in the forefront, and we have not forgotten about Miss Dagus. You can be assured of that. If we are asking the public, if anybody has any information, there are several ways in which they can come forward with any type of tip. Like Ms. Hirschberger said, never assume that we know everything. If somebody knows anything, large or small, significant, insignificant to them, because that may be something that we can put together with other information, they can call 813-247-8200. That's our comm center. You can also call Crime Stoppers, 1-800-873-TIPS, and Crime Stoppers is all anonymous. So we appreciate you all coming out and giving the coverage that this case definitely needs.